Ladies and gentlemen, let me start by telling you something that may shock you. No person on this earth has ever truly bothered you. Not your boss, not your spouse, not the person who cut you off in traffic, not the one who doubted you, insulted you, or betrayed you. You didn't bother you. You bother yourself. You see, anger is not caused by others. It is born from within you, from your beliefs, your expectations, your attachments, and your illusion. That's the greatest news you'll ever hear. Because if anger starts with you, then peace can begin with you too. The moment you realize that you are the only thinker in your mind is the moment you become free. You are not a puppet on the strings of the world. You are the master of your own emotional kingdom. You command your thoughts. You direct your reactions. You choose your state. Now, don't they? People will test you. They will lie. They will cheat. They will provoke. But remember this eternal truth. It is not the snake bite that kills. It is the venom that festers in the heart. Let the venom go. Let it pass. Let it dissolve into the nothingness from which it came. That is power. That is strength. That is self-mastery. And if you ever feel tempted to explode, stop and ask yourself, what am I expecting that they are not giving me? Peace comes not from controlling others, but from removing expectations. The moment you expect nothing, you are untouchable. Do not look for fairness. The world was not built to be fair. It was built to be transformational. Each rude person is a test. Each insult is a lesson. Each betrayal is a badge of wisdom waiting to be earned. People may call you soft for not reacting. Don't listen to them. It takes infinitely more strength to walk away from the fire than to burn with it. And so I challenge you. Train your mind like a soldier. Guard your peace like a treasure. Rise above the petty like an eagle above the storm. Because no one has the power to shake the man or woman who is anchored in truth. So the next time someone comes at you with venom in their voice, you smile, not because you're weak, but because you're so much stronger than they could ever understand. And in that moment, you will know what true power is. Not control over others, not victory in an argument, but mastery of yourself. That is how you become unshakable. That is how you become untouchable. That is how you become unstoppable. And that, my friends, is how you never get angry or bothered again. You are the master of emotion, not its servant. That is not just a comforting thought. It is an absolute truth, a law of mental chemistry that governs every interaction you will ever have. The average person walks through life believing that their emotions are dictated by circumstances and people. Someone speaks rudely and they feel insulted. Someone cuts them off in traffic and they feel rage. Someone forgets to acknowledge them and they feel invisible. But this is the great illusion of human experience. The false belief that the power to disturb us lies in the hands of another. In reality, it has always been within you. Anger, frustration, irritation. These are not things that descend upon you like storms from the outside. They rise from within, triggered not by events themselves, but by your interpretation of those events. Your reaction is not mechanical. It is a choice, even when it feels automatic. Between stimulus and response, there is always a space. And that space is your power, your freedom, your throw. And it is there, right there, as you decide whether to be a king or a slave. The man who has mastered his emotions can walk through chaos untouched. He can be surrounded by noise and remain in stillness. He can be attacked and not retaliate. He can be mocked and not moved, because he has recognized the source of all power. It is not out there in the behavior of others, but in here, in the dominion of his mind. The world may swirl, people may provoke, but his internal kingdom remains unshaken. To believe otherwise is to hand over your crown. When you say, "He made me angry," you are declaring yourself powerless. When you say, "She ruined my mood," you are giving your joy away like loose change. But when you stand in the awareness that no one has that power unless you grant it, you become a fortress. Others may try to push your buttons, but you have removed the wire. You no longer react because you no longer need to. You no longer boil because there is no fire left to feed the flame. This kind of mastery is not achieved in a moment. It is built like a temple, brick by brick, decision by decision. It begins by watching yourself, noticing the moment when anger rises and pausing long enough to ask, "Is this who I choose to be?" That question alone can break the chain. Over time, your emotions become tools, not tyrants. They serve you. They inform you, but they never control you. That is the difference between those who live in chaos and those who live in power. One is tossed about by every wind. The other charts his own course. You have that same power. It is not given to the few. It is the birthright of every man and woman who decides that their mind is theirs and theirs alone. And when you make that decision, truly and completely, no one, no matter how cruel, loud, or reckless, can take your peace from you again. Control the inner world, and the outer world will follow. This is not merely a poetic idea. It is the root of all true power. The vast majority of people are trapped in a cycle of reaction. They wake up and immediately hand over control of their state of mind to the outside world. The news dictates their mood. The coworker's tone shapes their confidence. A delay in traffic, a late email, a careless word, suddenly their entire sense of peace is shattered, and yet they never stop to ask, who is really in control here? The truth is this: nothing outside of you has the power to disrupt the harmony within you unless you permit it. The outer world may be unpredictable, unfair, even hostile, but that is no excuse for inner disorder. Your mind, your thoughts, your emotional climate, these are your territory. This is where your authority lives, and once you claim that authority, life begins to bend in your favor, not because the world has changed, but because you have. And when the inner world is chaotic, the smallest inconvenience becomes a catastrophe. But when the inner world is ordered, the greatest storm outside feels like nothing more than background noise. It's not the world that causes your suffering. It's your internal reaction to it. Two people can face the same situation, yet one remains calm and centered while the other crumbles. And finally, why? Because one has built strength on the inside and the other has built dependency on the outside. The strongest individuals in history were not born in ease. They were forged in fire, but not consumed by it. They knew a secret, that peace is not found in the absence of conflict, but in the mastery of self. And that mastery begins by taking full responsibility for your inner state, not partial responsibility. Fool, that means no more blaming others for your frustration, no more waiting for circumstances to improve so you can feel better. It means deciding right now that your inner world will no longer be a reflection of chaos, but a source of clarity. When you discipline your thoughts, when you choose your responses with intention, and you begin each day with the conviction that your mind will remain sovereign, then the world begins to change. Not because the world has become gentler, but because you've become stronger. The waves are no less high, but you have learned how to sail, and slowly others begin to feel that difference. They respond to your calm. They are drawn to your centeredness. You begin to influence not just yourself, but everything around you, because people can feel the presence of someone who has mastered the inside. It radiates in your words, your tone, your energy, and without even trying, you begin to shape the outer world. Not through force, but through the quiet, unshakable strength that only comes from within. That is how real transformation begins. Not from shouting at the world, but from speaking to yourself with discipline, clarity, and conviction. The inner world is not a refuge from life. It is the command center. Tend to it and guard it, elevate it, and the rest of your life will rise to meet it. Every irritant is a lesson in disguise. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid the difficult person, the critical voice, the inconvenient truth. But those who rise above average living understand a higher principle. What irritates you reveals what still controls you. The people who challenge your peace the most are not your enemies. They are your teachers. They are messengers, disguised as annoyances, delivering to you the exact curriculum you need to grow stronger, wiser, and more in command of yourself. The moment you feel that surge of irritation, pause. Ask yourself, what is this revealing about me? Maybe it's pride. Maybe it's impatience. Maybe it's a hidden insecurity that hasn't yet been confronted. Whatever it is, the irritant is doing you a favor. It is showing you where your work is. You cannot master what you do not face, and life, in its wisdom, keeps sending you mirrors until you finally look into them. Consider this. If you had already mastered patience, the impatient person wouldn't affect you. If you had already mastered your ego, the insult wouldn't sting. If you were truly at peace, the chaos around you would seem almost irrelevant. So, instead of seeing the irritant as an obstacle, see it as a gift. An opportunity to train your character, to sharpen your awareness, and to build emotional muscle that cannot be built in ease. Growth does not happen in comfort. It happens in tension. The gym for the soul is not a place of silence and serenity. It is a place of conflict, misunderstanding, noise, and unpredictability. And those who wish to grow must stop praying for easier people and start developing deeper roots. Let the world be as it is. Your job is not to change the irritant, but to let it do its work, refining you, humbling you, strengthening you. You must come to see every difficult person as a kind of spiritual weight. Just like lifting heavy objects builds the body, facing heavy personalities builds the soul. You don't get stronger by avoiding resistance. You get stronger by leaning into it, responding with wisdom, not emotion. Each time you choose patience over frustration, calm over conflict, observation over reaction, you win. Not over the other person, but over the part of yourself that still needed to be conquered. And what's more, the moment you stop taking things personally is the moment you unlock a deeper level of freedom. You realize that most people act from their own wounds, their own fears, their own unconscious patterns. Their behavior is not about you, it is about them. So why give away your peace over something that never had anything to do with you in the first place? This is how you transmute irritation into instruction. This is how you elevate your life. You learn to welcome the teacher hidden in the inconvenience, the growth hidden in the discomfort, and the mastery waiting inside the moment you once tried to avoid. That is the path of those who are no longer ruled by emotions, but guided by purpose. Personalization is the seed of frustration. The more you expect from others how they should treat you, how they should behave, how they should speak, the more you chain your happiness to variables beyond your control. Most anger, most disappointment, most inner conflict arises not from what actually happened, but from the gap between what we wanted to happen and what did. The mind creates a blueprint of how people should behave, how life should unfold. And when reality dares to deviate from that script, the result is frustration. But here's the truth. The world does not owe you alignment with your expectations. And the moment you accept that, you set yourself free. Every time you walk into a situation expecting perfection, expecting fairness, expecting applause, you are planting seeds that will bloom into bitterness. Not because the world is cruel, but because it is indifferent to your script. People will forget. People will act from their own wounds. People will fail to meet your standards. That is not a betrayal, that is life. The mistake is not in how people act. The mistake is in believing they should act differently simply because you desire it. When you eliminate expectation, you eliminate the power others have over your mood. Suddenly, you're not angry because someone didn't say thank you. You're not bothered because someone failed to notice your effort. You're not rattled by a cold tone or a dismissive glance. Why? Because you no longer walked into the room needing anything from anyone. You came full. You came whole. You came complete. And when you are full within, the outer world has nothing to steal, often hiding behind the mask of hope or entitlement. You think you deserve kindness because you give it. You think others should be honest because you are. But fairness is not a law of nature. It is a construct of the human ego. True peace comes not from expecting reciprocity, but from embodying your values regardless of what comes back. You are not here to control how others treat you. You are here to control how you respond. That is where your power lives. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go of the hope that others will validate your worth. Let go of the mental contracts you never voiced, but always held others accountable to. In doing so, you stop being a prisoner of disappointment. You begin to live in the real world, not the one shaped by your fantasies. And in the real world, peace belongs to those who are not constantly comparing reality to an invisible list of how things should be. This isn't about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about becoming unshakably grounded. It's about walking into each moment with open hands, not clenched fists. It's about showing up, giving fully, loving deeply, and releasing completely. When you expect nothing, everything becomes a gift. Every smile, every act of kindness, every moment of connection becomes a blessing, not a right. And from that space of detachment, life begins to feel lighter, more beautiful, more true. The fewer your expectations, the greater your capacity for peace. This is not giving up. It is rising above. It is choosing to live from fullness rather than need. It is stepping into the power of someone who no longer demands from the world, but creates from within. Your peace is your responsibility. Not your friends, not your partners, not your bosses or your neighbors. It is yours and yours alone. As long as you place your peace in the hands of others, you will live in emotional poverty. You will wake each day hoping the world behaves in a way that pleases you, needing others to validate you, to agree with you, to treat you well, just so you can feel okay. That is not peace. That is dependency dressed in the clothes of comfort. Real peace is not fragile. It does not waver when people are rude or circumstances turn unfavorable. Real peace stands firm because it is built from within. When you truly accept that your peace is your job, something shifts. You stop chasing apologies to feel better. You stop needing the last word in a disagreement. You stop expecting others to fix what they broke in you. You start going inward. You start asking better questions. Why did this trigger me? What belief is being challenged? What part of me needs healing? And in those questions, you begin to reclaim the pieces of your power that were scattered across the opinions, judgments, and actions of other people most people never take.